going on? What's going on? It's your boy Connie. And once again, we're here on 910 Sports TV. First and foremost, I got to thank God for this opportunity because without him, there'd be no us. You know what I'm saying? So first and foremost, I want to introduce the little man to my right. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Coach himself, Coach Goins. How you doing, brother?
Hey, listen, man. It is March. It is madness, and we've got outstanding guests on. And you know what? I'm just making sure that I am being correct tonight. So I'm good to go.
All right, all right. So we also got our other brother from another, you know what I'm saying, your baby mama favorite host, you know what I'm saying, Barry White Jr. voice himself, King Jacob. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, what up, man? Glad to be in the land of the living. Another day to get it right, my brother.
Oh, I forgot to add this one. And Mr. I don't want to be unethical.
Hey man, hey man. All right, what you want to call it, brother? Hey, I would talk. I would talk. Hey, listen, I don't know about y'all, boy, but when my daddy was talking to one of his buddies, if I look like I'm gonna say nothing, if I look like I'm gonna say something, he'll give you that look. Yeah, yeah, he'll give you that look.
Oh, yeah, but that sounds like some trauma right there. We got to move on from that. But anyway, first of all, before we get started with our guest, you know what I'm saying, this is sponsored to you, brought to you by inspireradio.com, 810 Studios, Roku channel, and also subscribe to our YouTube page at 910 SNE. So, Jacob, go ahead and introduce this man so we can get this interview started.
Oh man, Coach Drummond, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. Thank y'all for having me.
Good. Yes, sir. Thank you for coming on us and gracing the platform with your presence, man. So, Coach, man, if you could just give us a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll get into, your background, your journey, and your legacy.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I'm Coach Amaziah Drummond. I'm originally from Greer, South Carolina, 864. I currently live in Jacksonville, Florida, where I serve as administrator, athletic director. Just stepped down as head basketball coach. We'll get into some of that. But, man, I love sport. I love to serve our community, love to serve kids, and I'm glad to be here and be able to chop it up with some like minds tonight, for sure.
Okay. You from that Greer, South Carolina area, Greer, Piedmont, Greenville, up there with Kevin Garnett from Malden.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
I got you, brother. So man, when did this journey start for you, man? Like, let's take us back to your childhood
Man, look,
and the first time you knew that you wanted to be an athlete.
well, look, like I said, I grew up in country Greer, South Carolina. It's in the middle of Greenville and Spartanburg. I grew up in a community where just sports is what saved young black males. I think you start playing sports at the age of 3, 4, 5 years old. Um, my journey started in Sunnyside, Greer, South Carolina, to be exact. I came from a single mother. I had an uncle who was very good in basketball. You mentioned Kevin Garnett, my uncle, and Derek Drummond actually played with Kevin Garnett, some AAU ball.
Wow.
Being able to see them grow up and kind of set the example of, how far you can go in sports kind of inspired me to kind of follow in those paths.
Okay. So man, what was your first sport that you learned how to play, man? And why did that mean so much to you as you grew on and understanding the intelligence of the game and understanding how to inspire other players,
For sure.
that was your peers.
So where I grew up, man, in Sunnyside, Greer, South Carolina, it was not a lot of positive things going around for young black males. What I had going for me is my mother invested in the basketball goal early in
Mhm.
life. So the whole neighborhood, to stay out of trouble, we hooped in my backyard from the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to teenage years. So basketball was definitely our first love. But growing up in the community I did, man, we played basketball in the morning. We go to the park and play football. We pick up sticks and play softball and baseball. Man, we did all kind of sports just to stay active, stay outside, and just be around each other. So Basketball probably was my first love. I grew to be better in football as the years go as I got older, but I definitely picked up the basketball first.
It's funny that you talk about that country lifestyle. My first basketball goal was a piece of plywood and a bicycle rim.
We had one.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. So, man, I tell people all the time, and me, I couldn't talk about this. Wherever all the bicycles was at, that's where all the kids was at.
But you find them. That's where you find them.
That's right. That's
Mhm.
right.
Oh,
The
right.
good old days.
Yes, sir.
I see my man, Coach going, acting like he want to pass that thing like Magic Johnson when he was at Michigan State. Go ahead, Coach going.
Man, wow, Michigan State. What? How about that right there? So, again, Coach Drummond, just welcome and certainly appreciate your time to be on with the crew tonight. So, here's where I want to go. Reading your bio, it says that you played a little bit of ball at the Citadel, so it had to be a little bit of discipline involved in that. So, if you don't mind, tell our viewer audience what the balance between not just being an athlete but also being in that military institution and having that discipline and the importance of being disciplined in any sport that you play.
Definitely. Um, I went to the Citadel at 17 years old. Coming from the country, Greer, South Carolina, moving to Charleston and being in that military environment, although I didn't finish my career there, starting my career there probably helped me be the man that I am today. Like I said, I went at 17. I started as a freshman at quarterback, a lot of responsibility. Met some really good brothers that I still stay in touch with to this day. But being in that environment just kind of helped me learn, what I wanted to be as an athlete, what I wanted to be as a coach. As I got older, I always known that, I was going to play as long as I could, then I was going to invest in the younger community and give back to it. But being in that military environment helped me be disciplined in my preparation. It helped me see life of different cultures. I tell my nephew who's in college right now, your degree can take you a lot of places, but the relationships you build and being around different cultures, people from different states, people from different countries, what you learn from each other carries a long time as well. So that's probably what I took the most. We played a competitive schedule. My first ever college football game I started was against Georgia Tech, played against Greg Gathers and some of them guys down in Atlanta at 17 years old. So I had some great experiences there. And then I went on to finish at Newberry College where, I got my degree and played some good ball.
That's fantastic. So, hey, I want to go back in time a little bit, and I think everybody on this show might have been hooping in the yard with that old bicycle rim, and put them nets or thread the spokes and put them nets up there. So, who was going back in time? I'm kind of sparking your memory. Out of that backyard brawl, who was the best team? Was it your team or was it somebody else's team? Did you
Hey,
have home court advantage?
hey, look, my mom, bless her heart, she told me early age, you don't lose at home. You don't. I don't care if it's basketball. I don't care if it's football. I don't care if it's playing PlayStation. Your home is your home. So I always had the competitive advantage, man. I always had that competitive fire. But, man, what I tell my son today, one thing that I hate that he don't get to participate now that, we're doing well and we don't live in some of those areas. Man, we had stuff 3-on-3 tournaments, 1-on-1 tournaments. And he experienced the joy of having a white T-shirt with a marker and making teams and, doing some of those things, man. So definitely being out there and being with the boys and having tournaments and playing 21 and cutting the lights on in the backyard and being out all night definitely helped develop my game as I grew into a high school ball player for sure.
I appreciate that, man. I hadn't heard anybody call out 21 in a long time. I don't even know if Jacob the Great knows about how to play 21. All right, Akani, I see you set up, brother.
Hey, it's funny because I'm gonna tell you about this, coach. I had a full court in my backyard. I'm gonna tell you how. So my grandma, first our neighbor, it was an old guy named Mr. Vamper. He went out, got one of those plywood, cut it into a backboard, got an old rim, put it up for me. Maybe about a year or so later, my grandma got me the real rim and backboard or whatever. So in the middle of in the grass in the backyard, it had a hump in the middle. And on the other end, she had a clothesline. So I'm going full court. Well, one end was the clothesline, because the clothesline, I could dunk on the clothesline at that age when I was 8, 9 years old. On the other end was the regular, regular size regulation. So, I couldn't, do my thing over there. I couldn't dunk on that end. But I remember grandma always coming out there saying, boy, you tell my clothesline out. One time, it got so bad to the point, because, I was my grandma's favorite, so she would never spank me. So she just to the point, she just tried to move the whole clothesline and had Mr. Vamper put it behind the shed, because she said, this boy ain't going to listen to me. You know what I mean? So that's my,
We had a downhill slope in my backyard for the goal. So if you shoot from the right side of the court, you're probably shooting on 10.5 feet. You shoot from the left side of the court, you might be able to dunk shooting on 9.5 feet. So
yeah, no, that's right. So coach, let me ask you this. So being a coach and an athletic director, what's the challenge? Because it kind of remind me of like being like if you was a rapper and you owned a label and you sell millions, but then your artists ain't really, they looking to you. I don't know if you remember like when Jay-Z ran Def Jam back in the day, and all his art and everybody, LL and DMA, everybody was mad at him because they were like, oh, where the money for us? You know what I'm saying? You should understand. So how's that being the athletic director and the coach at the same time?
And I'm gonna give you a step further. I have our community is a small community. We have a principal, and I also serve as dean of students. So I'm our second admin in the building. It's kind of like an AP in those roles. So being in those 3 roles, man, it gets difficult. And it's probably the reason that I am stepping away from the sideline. It's just so many hats to wear that cross over from lines, from day to day. But being an admin from 7:30 to 3 o'clock, having to be AD and admin in that aspect, but also being one of the guys and being the head coach and being part of the staff, man, it just kind of runs into each other, and those days get long. As a administrator, I've always wanted to lead with, myself first. So I never asked any of my employees, teachers that I supervise, any of my coaches that's under my tools, I never asked them to do anything that I have not done as an assistant or that I won't do now in the trenches with them. We have a good rapport here on campus. One thing that I wanted to do when I moved here is I moved to a building, and in education you have it's predominantly white females. But being in Jacksonville, the area that we serve, my principal and I made it a point to hire some black males and put in our building. So one thing I wanted to do is all of our coaches work in the building. When I was in South Carolina, one of the drawbacks that I had of being there is I didn't graduate college with a teaching degree. So what happens is, you go to all these schools and you have to take the low end jobs, but you do a lot of the heavy coaching. And nobody ever told me, if you're going to make money in this profession, you got to go get your certificate. You got to go back to school, or you got to get the tools that you need to be successful in this field. So one thing I take pride in, and what helps me here on campus is, I hired some young black males, some young black females that can really, really, really coach. But I make it a point to help them get their certificate to teach, to be in the classroom, to be in the academic environment, and support our kids daily. So the lines cross, but if you lead, with that I'm gonna be first attitude, I don't lead like a dictator. I take everybody's opinions. I delegate well. So it's kind of helped me being able to bring up some young guys up under me. I've actually hired 2 really good basketball coaches, girls and boys basketball, fill in those gaps. So I'm excited about where we're going. We have a good rapport and a good culture and climate here on campus. So it's going well at the moment for sure.
Okay, so in Jacksonville, I don't know a lot of people know a lot about Jacksonville, but Jacksonville is one of them cities you don't play around with. You know what I'm saying? So what's the challenges of dealing with the athletes that may come from those environments in Jacksonville and kind of keeping them on task, whether it's educational, whether it's the academics, or whether it's just being focused on what they need to do as far as being ready for a game and it's preparing themselves every day.
one thing that I've noticed in my 5 years of being administration here on campus is some of our tougher students that come from tougher environments do really well on our campus. When you come from an environment where there's 3,000 students and it's right in the neighborhood and you have all the peer pressure of all the things that you can get into, when you remove the student from that environment, and we're kind of on another side of town, and we stress the importance of academics and we stress the importance of community. We push discipline in our student athletes and all of our students. When you kind of take them out of that environment that they grew up in and place them over here, we've had some success from some of our more difficult students. Like you say, Jacksonville it's a rough city. A lot of people don't know that if you're not living in
Mm-hmm.
it, some of the struggle. Be honest, I moved here blind faith. I'm from Greer where, white, black, everybody grow up the same. It's all about sports. Everybody goes to the games on Friday night and everybody watch you grow up. I played my high school career with people that I went to elementary school with. Here in Jackson, not knowing in the beginning, it's the largest city in the United States, land-wise. So it's so big. It's probably third most populated. So it's so big. It's so much to get into. And it's kind of come to this, the rap culture of our young people. It's kind of taking over the city of Jacksonville a little bit. But I will say here on our community, on our campus, that we're able to isolate the kid that we see in front of us, not where he come from, not his past. So it's been difficult at times, dealing with students where they, go home and you don't know what kind of support they have. When you're dealing with some of the parents, one thing I love to do, I go across the bridge and play. We don't duck no smoke. We're going to go play in the tougher environments, but going and play in those environments, you get to see what the other side of Jacksonville looks like and compete with those kids. And then a lot of times, man, a lot of our young men in the city, young men and women, get a bad reputation. But when you actually on the court and competing and you get to know some of them, you draw to like them and be able to be more community and more civil with each other. So it has its difficulties. Jacksonville is not an easy place to work, live, coach in. But when you approach it with the right approach and you approach it with love, you approach it with support, how we try and do here at San Jose Prep, even our most difficult kids in our city can thrive here on our campus.
Okay. Well, before I throw it back to Jacob, I was told to ask you about the Union Yellow Jackets and the rivalry.
Yeah, man. Listen, my high school career as a quarterback, the 3 years I started as quarterback, we were 30, 35, and 4.
Wow.
2 of those losses came in high school. I don't know if you ever heard of Roscoe Crosby. He's one of the biggest athletes to come out of South Carolina. So we had some good games between each other, but they did beat me 2 times. Now, I will say, after our playing days, going back and coach, I did get the upper hand in coaching in the Greer Union Yellow Jacket rivalry. But, man, it was a good environment. Both communities are kind of the same, kind of a country, rural area, where your mamas and your cousins and your neighbors, everybody grew up the same way, and they come to all the games and just that tradition of being there on Friday night. So Union and Greer are outside of just both being the Yellow Jackets. We kind of have like the same traditions and what we stand for. So, man, they were some good rivals and some good games back in the day. But I missed that a little bit being down here in Jacksonville.
Okay, go ahead and jump back in, Jacob.
Yeah. And since you talking about Union, a fella that I played against out of Westside High School in Anderson, Sean Ellis.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get a chance to play against him, and playing in these before AAU, we used to have what we call round ball classics, where
Yep.
you go to everybody sitting and play one another, and then it was a $2,500 cash prize and stuff
Yep.
like that, man. So it was I'm from Saluda, so Saluda, Newberry, West Shoals, Greenwood, Piedmont, Union, Travelers Rest, Gaffney, all those Clinton, South Carolina. So all the teams you used for me to play in the big tournament. So since Randy was talking about Union, yeah, Union was really, really, really good. But Greer was one who was on the news all the time. And my my cousin reports the Friday night news, Mr. Rick Henry, you know what I mean? And everybody know Rick Henry, so you know what I mean? So he's been reporting that 11 o'clock news after the football game for a long, long, long time. So, and what's more interesting, coach, I see that you went to sports management and you went to one of the biggest Christian schools in South Carolina, which people don't know that background, but Newberry College
Yep,
was started and supported by the Southern Baptist Association. And so,
absolutely.
tell me about your time at Newberry College.
Well, man, listen, I told you guys we talked about earlier my experiences at the Citadel and how thankful I was to be able to be in that environment, meet the people that I met there, and learn the lessons that I learned there. But when I made it to Newberry College was 0-30 in football in the last 3 years. You talk about
Wow.
leap of faith, man. We took a leap of faith. We had a good transfer class. Tamir Zimmerman from Marlboro County was in that class. Derek Higgins from Lamar was in that class. And we all just kind of took a leap of faith and said, you know what, we're going to go change the culture here at Newberry College. Fast forward, man, we won 2 conference championships there while I played there. They just made it to the Final Four in the Division II National Championship this past year. So, I like to believe that going there, being the first class that went there after, so many, down years in football, that we kind of started a tradition that you still see today. But being on campus there, man, I met some good people. I had some educators that believed in me. I had some coaches that believed in me, that kind of pushed me towards education. I've only had one career my whole life. This will be my first year as an adult that I will not be on the sideline. I started coaching at Newberry College after I finished playing as a grad assistant. And my experiences there, being over scout team, learning how to prepare, learning how to watch film, it kind of just pushed me towards the field of coaching. Being able to leave there with some of the background that I got in how to be a coach, how to carry yourself as a coach, why it's important, to be in the lives of your players, and how to lead by example, how to have that Christian faith on your sleeve all the time and let them see black men and positive coaches living the right way, kind of pushed me to where I am today. Funny story, I left the Citadel for Newberry College. The CEO of my school that I'm at now, the former CEO, was my college football coach. So a
Wow.
relationship that I built in college by doing the right thing, um, being on time, being respectful, all the things that they instilled at Newberry College in me, somebody remembered that 20 years after almost and gave me the opportunity to be here. And my life has changed since then. I'm able to make a good salary. I'm able to be an administrator. I'm able to impact lives far beyond, what I thought I would as a young player. But my experiences at Newberry College kind of led me here to Jacksonville.
And coach, and that's so great. And Mike, I asked, since you was there, the program has really, really grown a lot. And a lot of people don't know, if you look at those, a lot of those players that went to Newberry College I'm gonna say over the past 10 years, a lot of them have made it to the NFL.
Yep.
I tell people, whether you go fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, or seventh round, as
Matter.
long as you can get
Matter.
in and make an impact, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Newberry
So,
a rich tradition in football since those first years of us starting. Like you said, it's about 4 or 5 kids that's had the opportunity to cross that line into professional sports, where we know the percentage is very low. But I'll tell you one thing that you may not know about Newberry. Newberry produced a lot of the coaches in South Carolina. A lot of coaches that are coaching on the sidelines in South Carolina had their start at Newberry College as a student. I made it back to Greer High School after graduating from Newberry. My AD at that time, God rest his soul, he's passed on, was Travis Perry, who played at Newberry College. My principal at that time was Marion Waters, who played at Newberry College. So we have so many, kind of like a fraternity, a brotherhood, sisterhood of coaches that come from Newberry College that are still coaching on the sidelines in South Carolina and all over the world today.
Okay, Coach. Before I pass it back to Coach Goins, from from the time that you played, what has been the biggest challenge that you've seen for players and for coaches in this day and age?
Man, if I had to say the biggest challenge, um, one of the biggest challenges that I face here in Jacksonville is it's so easy to up and move. Now, I want to start by saying I support parents putting their kids in the right situation. I don't believe in having to stay in a bad situation, not having a dedicated coach, not having, all the things you need to have and just have to suffer through that. I do believe in that, parents having that choice. But nowadays, I've seen kids go to 4 high schools, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. I think it's so easy to up and move now by the rules that you can't really build community. You can't really build brotherhood if you're trying to have a new team every year. That's kind of some of the challenges we face here in Jacksonville. And like I said, it's one of the biggest cities. I counted the other day. We were just having this conversation. It's 110 schools playing sports in the Duval County, Jacksonville area. 110. That's 110 places that kids can go play, whether it's public, private, charter, whatever it is. So it's a lot of options. The high school league, I think, has taken the approach of, I don't want to have to police everybody. You can transfer in the middle of the season, and the state of Florida has a good clause rule that you can transfer one school, play at another school during the same season. You can transfer one school, go to and still play at the school you transfer to finish out the season. That makes it so complicated to build tradition, to build some of these things. So where we try and make the difference here on our campus, we try and get them young. We try and get kids in middle school, and raise them up to be varsity players instead of picking, the next senior that's trying to find somewhere else to go. So that's probably the biggest challenge that I've seen. Like I told you, I graduated with the people that I went to elementary school with. It's a different commitment when my brother done been through everything with me, lined up beside me. Versus coming in, 1 year here, another year here, and not being able to build community. So that's a lot that's missing in sports today.
Yeah, I can dig it. Then I just read a report because I can't tell you that I'm big on high school sports, always have been. So they have a report out that in some places, starting this year, that they're paying high school athletes, $75,000 to play.
Yep.
And
So
and I said that man, you get 75 G's to play in high school and and your church deacon don't even make that much money.
we played in the
I
rain.
was just saying. I'm just
How you equate the church deacon and the
hey,
athlete? How they
hey,
go
hey, hey,
together?
hey, hey, man, listen, cause most of the athletes that I know that go to church, they always look up to their church deacon, man. That church deacon showed them a lot about life. You know what I mean? And so and the church deacon don't make 75, $80,000 a year. Ain't never made in the 26, 27 years he been on the job. And here you are, 16 years old, making $80,000 a year.
I take
Man,
it a step further. The NIL culture is I've been waiting on it to take over high school sports. There's nothing nobody can do about it. It's coming. But you talk about a kid being able to make $75,000, but a high school coach who's having to lead that kid, having to mentor that kid, having to discipline that kid, doing all that year for a $3,000 stipend. It don't match. It don't match. It just makes the job of the people that's in leadership and the job that people, coaching tougher. I always tell people, I tell my coaches, it ain't nothing I can do about it, but you probably coach for free. After you get your stipend and your gas and you come back and forth and you take a kid home or you buy a meal or when you do all those things, after you get 30% tax on your stipend anyway, you probably coach for free. You got to coach for the love of the game. So luckily, I was able to get every coach that works in our building, that works in education in our building. So we able to, compensate some things and at least give them a salary to have. But you can imagine a person that don't work in the building that only gets a $2,500 stipend to be a head coach. And that's tough. That's tough. Taking away your time from your family, your kids, probably having to spend that money back on your team anyway. So, you probably coach for free unless you're in some of the bigger areas in some of our bigger cities and big time programs, So here in Jacksonville, our stipends aren't that big. So you got to coach for the love of the game. At San Jose Prep, all of our coaches, like I said, work in the building, but the stipend that they do get, they probably invested back in the program in some type of way. That's just what they love to do for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and coach, not only that right there. I was listening to somebody was interviewing one of the people who work on the sports athletic board in South Carolina. They were saying in the next couple of years to go to a high school football game is going to be $20.
Yeah, yeah. I try to place our prices coming to what the area is and what the other schools that we're around. One thing I say about South Carolina is it's kind of a coaching and administrative community. Here in Jacksonville, you're kind of on your own a little bit. So you got to kind of test the waters and see what other people are doing. And that's how I kind of determine my prices. Like our volleyball may not be a big revenue sport yet. It may not have high attendance. Those ticket prices might have to be a little bit lower than you charge for the region championship basketball team to kind of supplement and kind of, even out the cost of having athletics. I read somewhere today, it was an article on Broward County schools in South Florida. All Broward County schools in next year are probably going to pay to play. You know how much that's going to take away from some of the low income families that barely afford, shoes to wear to school. Now they have to pay to be part of athletics. So that's kind of where we're going. Money is one of our biggest factors here on campus. We fundraise, we do little things to supplement, try and get our kids the best. We don't ask our kids for a dime, but there's some struggles in that at sometimes, So seeing that article this morning of them going to pay to play for all schools in Broward County, our ticket prices and gates have made it hard for students to even come and be part of the athletic community. So it's definitely an issue in a lot of cities, not just Jacksonville. One of the things I do here is, if you wear your uniform, your school uniform, or you wear the theme for the night, I try and let our students in free. If we make it to break even at a game, I'm happy. The cost of living is going up. The cost of everything is going up. Same with the cost of officials and security. People see the product that you put on the court and think it just happens naturally. Don't know that you got to have 3 officials because we work in a rougher city. 3 officials cost $279 for one game. You have a varsity girls and a varsity boys. That's $279 times 2. Security you got to have $40 an hour. You play for 4 hours. You have 3 games in a week. Man, that's tight. That's tight. That budget started to look a little slim, but we try and supplement, we try and fundraise, we try and get sponsors, so that our kids don't have to participate in the fees and our students can come to the games and we trying to manage through it. But I can tell you it definitely is a struggle.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Coach Barnes, man, I see you looking, boy. You about to catch that pass like you suited up with Lance Swan. So go
Oh.
ahead and catch it.
So with that, coach, you really made my mind run back when I was on the sidelines in high school. You're exactly right. So much of your stipend does go, but you stop at McDonald's and kids, you know the ones that don't have the money because they're not the first ones off the bus, right? They're kind of sitting in their seat and kind of looking around to kind of let the herd thin off the bus, and you be like, "Hey, come on, get off the bus and get you something to eat," or buying sneakers, right? Parents coming up and go, "Hey, can you buy Johnny some shoes? I get you back at the when I get paid." And it's been 25 years and I ain't seen the sneakers or the money since then. So you don't right. You coach for the love of the game. Oh, and I forgot this key element. Or I come out of the locker room and back in that day, Jacob, I drove a Volkswagen Rabbit. Dude, I had so many people, so many players standing around the car. Sometimes I couldn't even see the car. Right? We get in there and have guys sitting on people's laps, and I'd be like, "All right, hurry." It was at nighttime, but like, come on, let me hurry up. Right? Couldn't even go over no speed bump without the car dragging. So hey, here's where I want to go. And my last question for you: I know some people, well, a lot of people have mixed emotions about the whole NIL deal. What's your take? What's the good that you see in it? And what's the negative that you see out of the whole fiasco?
You know, we're talking college athletics. I went to school for free. I had a scholarship. I had some teammates that did not. But I also know that everybody in the stands are coming to see those young men. So I think there should be compensated in some way, especially big time college athletes. I think they should be compensated for bringing millions and millions and millions of revenue to some college programs. I don't know that we have enough structure and enough rules based that where you can even it out and you can manage it and keep it to where the athletes can still have somewhat of commitment, somewhat of dedication, somewhat of some loyalty to some programs instead of just going for the next biggest check. Probably the biggest example of that, college football national championship this year. Who'd have ever thought Indiana was going to be in the running to be in the college football national championship? But with one of NIL, there you go. So I think it's evened out some of the major college sports, but I also think some people need to go back to the drawing board to figure out how to best manage it, to keep it fair amongst all, competition and so on and so forth. But I do think athletes should be compensated for the time they put in, for the money they bring to the universities. A lot of college athletes don't make it to the pros, but they good enough. I might have had that one injury in college that, sacrificing for a campus or university that I didn't get to further my career and my financial support in that. So I do think that it's a good thing that they are compensated and they are paid, but I do think we need some type of more structure, to kind of make it fair amongst all colleges and universities. And God bless us all when it get heavy in the high schools. It's gonna be another hurdle and another obstacle, and another opportunity for kids to kind of pick and choose and kind of have the upper hand on the coaches that are coaching for scraps almost.
Appreciate it. Excellent. Iconi.
All right, I only got a couple more questions for you, Coach. One, so I need your advice on something. I'm
Got it.
thinking about taking this sports management and getting. So talk about if you could because you could talk about and what's the advantages of having that certificate and how it's helped you in your career.
You kind of went out a little bit, but I think I can fill in, man. I think my sports management degree, one, it kept me around the game of. It kept me in a profession to where I can impact some people, I can coach, I can teach, I can be a part of the athletic community that I grew up in. Like I said, I've only had one profession my whole life. I played from the ages of walking all the way up through college. As soon as I was able to get on the sideline and done playing, that's the only thing I've ever done. So it keeps you in that realm of being an athlete, being athletic, being around the sport, and being able to impact young people. Um, for coaches, I think the difficulty is graduating with a sports management degree. It's hard to get a teacher's certificate in some states. So you have to go around, or you have to be paraprofessionals, or you have to do ISS, and you have to do some of the lower income jobs in the school without that teacher certificate. Here in Florida, they make it a little bit easier to attain as long as you got a degree. But sports management specifically just kept me around the game. It helped me learn, how to best serve my athletes. As an AD and coach, I never had to hire a strength coach. That's what I grew up doing. That was part of my degree. I was able to understand how the body work, and how to best serve my student athletes, and the correct things we need to do in the weight room, the correct things we need to eat, and all those things. So it definitely helped me as a coach. It helped me as a teacher as I've grown to get that certificate, to be able to have the other side of that. So it was definitely a benefit for coaches. If you're looking to coach in the high school level and the ages, and you still have an opportunity to have a teaching certificate and make the money that you can make from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. and then get your stipend, that's definitely the way to go. You can't do that without an education certificate, but sports management was a good start for me. It opened the doors for me. It kept me around the sport, and helped me to better serve our athletes for sure.
Okay, so out of San Jose, or it can just be San Jose High School, or just in your whole career, who's the biggest athlete, most known athletes that you've had either coached or been a part of, been around over your career?
So we opened the doors for sports in 2021. So we've had 5 seasons of competitive sports. I think over those 5 years, we've signed upwards of 20 athletes to college level teams. Keenan Johnson was probably my most talented athlete. He was about 6'7". He signed with Erskine. He's since moved back to Florida. He's going to FSCJ. Solomon Coco was about a 6'2" point guard. He was from South Sudan, that came here to the States to participate. He went to a JUCO in Cali. Now he's back, and he's got some offers here in the city. Our girls have had a number of girls signed, the D2, D3, NAIA schools. But this year, 2025-26, we had a young lady move here from Seattle, Washington to play sports. Her name was Lena Most. She averaged 15 points, 9 assists. She led our team to 20 wins. She's probably been our best female athlete, one of the best in our school. She has a number of Division I scholarship offers. So she'll probably be our first major Division I signee. We only had her for 1 year for her senior year. Lena Most, remember that name. She was a ball player. We had one of the games to go to the state this year. Our girls made it to the state championship, and we took 40 field goals. She had 20 points, 9 assists, and the other ones probably came in transition when she got the hockey assist. So she was kind of that engine of our team. She kind of led our team. She was real gritty. So she's probably been our biggest female athlete. And I'd say Solomon Coco and Keenan Johnson, who both are in college and participating right now on different levels, have been our best 2 male athletes.
Okay. So before we get out here, everybody, once again, subscribe to our YouTube page, 910 SNE. Also powered by InspireRadio.com, 810 Studios, Roku channel. So, Coach, I appreciate you coming on tonight, giving us your time. Like Jacob said, it was kind of a last minute thing. And shout out to Randy Page. So Randy Page is like our basically recruiter, you know what I'm saying, for 910 Sports, because he be sending us all kind of people. So, you know what I mean? So I appreciate him dearly, as far as like just being able to, being a great supporter of what we're doing. So if you could tell everybody anything you might want them to know before we get out of here, Coach.
Look, man, in closing, man, one, I I like to say thank you, Coach Page, also for thinking of me and being able to join the pod. But if I could tell you one thing about me and about our community, man, we have a great community here. It's in Jacksonville. We have a great school. Academics is important. Athletics is important. We stand for doing things the right way. And if you're ever thinking about where to go to school, thinking about how to get all that in one, think about San Jose Prep for sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Good blessings to you moving forward. Good luck to you, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Moving forward in your program. If you need anything from us, you know, if you want to send other athletes here for us to interview and other coaches, we are open doors. So just, you know, whatever you need.
I will do. I'll be in contact with you guys soon.
All right. Thank you, sir. Everybody have a blessed and wonderful night.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one.